Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. Got a few stories to cover in this episode. We're going to start by talking about Doug Ford's decision to purchase 5 helicopters to help fight auto theft in the city of Toronto. I don't know that it's necessarily going to work out the way that he hoped, but I'm sure that they will come in handy. My biggest problem with this plan is not either of those things, but I'll let you know when we get there. Doug Ford also announced today, his government announced that they will be extending their contract with Shoppers Drug Mart to provide feminine hygiene products to high school students, all on the taxpayer's dime. Housing starts across the country are down from over last year, quite a bit down. And Freeland has decided to announce that she will give 30-year mortgages to first-time home buyers who are buying brand new homes. We'll wrap with communists marching in the city of Philadelphia, which is where the American Revolution started. So there's some irony in that. Before we get into it, I would encourage you all to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this channel with all your socials. I have memberships and an open GoFundMe if you wish to support the channel further. However, any support that you give me, I appreciate. All right, so let's jump in. We're talking about Ontario and Doug Ford announcing the helicopters. Ontario fighting auto theft and organized crime with expanded new joint air support unit. The helicopters will help prevent violent carjackings in Ottawa and Greater Toronto. Well, so I said earlier that it was Toronto, but I guess he's putting a couple in Ottawa as well. I mean, doesn't Ottawa got a lot of security already? I don't know. To fight against car thieves and organized crime, Ontario government is investing $134 million to purchase 5 new helicopters for use in the Greater Toronto area and Ottawa. Equipped with the latest technology, the helicopters will help keep highways and roadways safe from violent carjackings, auto theft, street racing, and impaired driving. So I guess they, in their mind, they envision that this helicopter is going to be able to be in all places at all times. Also, there's a lot of high-rises in Toronto, and those high-rises will afford the opportunity to hide the car in many multi-storied parking lots. So I'm not sure that these are going to have the impact or the effect that they believe they will. We'll find out, though. I suppose it won't be long. I'll tell you my biggest grievance with the helicopter. You won't even believe it. You know, it's a depressed economy. We're using taxpayers' dollars. We have Bombardier. We have Bell. And guess where we bought these helicopters? We bought them off Airbus. And guess where they make them? China. I couldn't believe that. You're giving $134 million to a Chinese factory to build helicopters that we're bringing into Canada. Why are we not building them in Canada? It's ridiculous. And the only reason that we use China is because people make more money there. The labor is very inexpensive. And I think that it's time that, we stop worrying about whether or not the bank makes an extra $1 billion and just start giving people jobs. These products should be made inside of Canada by Canadians for Canadians. That's my opinion on that. What do you think? Do you think we should start to bring industry home? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, sticking with Ontario. Ontario students to get free menstruation products for 3 more years. Now, you might be thinking in your mind, what are you talking about? Is this the same thing as with the birth control pill and all the rest of that kind of stuff? And the answer, of course, is no. I'm bringing this up because it needs to be discussed. Many individuals come to this country from countries where when the woman goes into menstruation, they don't even, she just stays in the room. She can't function. She can't go for a walk. She can't do any of that. She just has to sit there and, be isolated from the rest of the community. We look at our modern culture and we just assume the rest of the world has these things, but they don't. And that's kind of the problem that I take with the government. They always send the most ridiculous things, but we never send the information. And then when they land here, we're like, oh no, that's how they do it in their culture. So we'll just wait and do it at school. These individuals, these guys need to know that these are essential items for the women in their lives. It makes their life easier because why would you need to have your, females in your house locked away in a room or whatever and keeping the distance from you? That can't make anybody happy. How can that kind of tension be brought into your house and you want me to believe that that's going to make your day go smooth? These products are not that expensive, and we have to give them to school girls at school because they're not being provided to them at home. Now, these are essentials and they don't cost that much. And I think that it's time that we understand that sometimes in many of the cultures around the world, they don't even know what they are. They're not even familiar with what the product is. Of course, true to form, I have some sort of an issue with the way the government is handling it because they're given the contract to Shoppers Drug Mart. Now, anybody ever out there ever had a baby, been around a woman that's had a baby, you know that the hospitals will issue you these very large products that after the woman has had the baby, there's like a few hours of excessive where they really need like heavy duty stuff that they put on the woman. So my point there is that the hospitals are well aware and well versed at this. Why are we sending it to an outside contract? Why are we not keeping it in-house? Why are we not allowing the Ministry of Health to take care of this? Why do we have to give it to a private industry? That makes very little sense to me. I get that perhaps, they might have a good deal with somebody in China or India or wherever they make these products. I'm not sure where they make them, but I know that the supplier who provides them to shoppers would still be the same supplier that provides them to grocery stores, other pharmacies. However, Shoppers Drug Mart is owned by Loblaws. Like they're all in the same connection. So that's already a $1 billion industry. Why are we giving them more money? We need to be spreading it out, not isolating and not giving it to the one major corporation all over town. Now, I understand that Shoppers Drug Mart is a very well-established pharmacy, and perhaps I misunderstood. Maybe they can go into the pharmacy and ask for them as well. They won't say how much it costs, but I say that providing the product, again, should be brought in-house. I mean, if we're talking about 23 million, that means that somewhere we can make a factory and give a bunch of people a bunch of jobs to just crank these out all day long. They don't have to have branding on them. They don't have to have names on it. Like, you don't have to any logo. They can just have the Ontario logo on the thing. I mean, we're not going to be making commercials for them. We're just going to crank them out and provide them to girls in schools so that they can be clean and all the things that go along with that. So that they can start to educate their loved ones on the necessity and the importance of these products. However, there's jobs there. That's tax dollars that could be put to generating of the economy instead of giving it all to another giant corporation. Makes very little sense to me. And I think that that's because the politicians are not hearing people say, hey, that's what we should be doing with it. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think that we should be sort of looking at ways to manufacture them ourselves? We could be giving half decent jobs or at least long-term jobs to people? Or do you think we should just be buying them from, like outsourcing them, as they say? Yeah, let me know down in the comments. This next story is about the housing starts in Canada from the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, who are the government lenders. When they're not so much lenders. When you get approved by the CMHC, they will put some down payment out of the tax dollar towards your house for you. And you only have to put down 5%. Now, it only works for first-time home buyers. I don't know why. Well, you're going to see why in a minute that Chrystia Freeland's announcement is a bit absurd. However, the numbers of housing starts are way down across the country, especially in the two main urban areas. Actual number of housing starts across Canada in urban centers of 10,000 and more people were down 13% in June compared to June of last year. So that's year over year. 13% less housing starts were happening in places with the population larger than 10,000 in Canada. June's total actual housing starts were markedly lower in two of Canada's three major cities compared to June of 2023, with Toronto down 60%, Vancouver down 55%. Both cities recorded significant decline in multi-unit construction. Montreal was up significantly with 226% due to the higher multi-unit activity. So herein lies the problem with building multi-unit and saying that you're going to build. First of all, let me say that they down 60%, and the Trudeau government has been promising that they're going to be building 3 million. To do 3 million, they need to be doing 500 and change thousand a year, so nearly 600,000 a year. That's to reach the goals that they put by 3031. And so they're, half of what they're building right now. And the experts think that that the Liberal projections are not high enough. So they want to be triple what the actual numbers are doing right now. They think that the Trudeau government needs to be building somewhere in the neighborhood of 750,000 per year to achieve to an end to homelessness. When they say Toronto is down 60% and Vancouver's down 55% because of a significant decline in multi-unit construction, and then it's up in Montreal because they've started to build apartments in Montreal, the difference is significant. Montreal doesn't really have super duper high rises. They have a lot of quad and 6-story units, or 6 units in the building, like 6 units or 4 units. Like that's just the way that the architecture works in Montreal. Whereas in Vancouver and Toronto, they will put 50-story high rises that'll hold 1,000 units in them or whatever it is, 500 units. Now, when a guy builds a 500 unit building, he has to borrow $150 million, and then he gets all of these tax breaks from the city, this, that, and the other thing. But the point is that it takes a couple of minutes to pay back $150 million before you can invest in the new build. So they might have said, well, we started some last year and now all our money's tied up. We are maxed out in what we can borrow, and we are maxed out in how many people we can hire, and we are maxed out in how many we might be able to get completed. Even today, Chrystia Freeland made an announcement with a guy who was all like, well, we're hoping to start in 2026, our next set of buildings. You just finished this set. Now you got to sell them off before you can go ahead and begin the next process. You got to sort of collect the money, pay back Bob, pay back the bank, pay back your loan, like your shareholders. There's a lot of money that has to move around. And so to say that you're going to be able to accomplish these numbers, it's just impossible. There's no way in the world that the Liberal government is ever going to achieve the numbers that they want to throw around. And there's no reason that we should be building buildings that don't allow for people to have parking. There's no reason for that. We have all the space we need. Now, I don't want to go too far into that in this point. It'll come up again as soon as the fall hits and the new session sits. However, I will like you to think about all of that, and then let's listen to I'll read the statement from Chrystia Freeland on how she thinks the housing is going to be all fixed with her new announcement. So going over to Chrystia Freeland, we went to Canada.ca, the Department of Finance. This is their official release. Government announces 30-year amortization for insured mortgages to put home ownership in reach of millennials and Gen Z. Now, I'll come back to that millennials and Gen Z. Today, Honorable Chrystia Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, announced that as of August 1st, 2024, lenders will be able to begin to offer 30-year amortizations for insured mortgages for first-time home buyers purchasing new builds, providing young Canadians with affordable monthly mortgage payment options. Extending amortizations up to 5 years will allow lower monthly payments, helping more Canadians unlock the door of their first home while also incentivizing construction of more new homes. Now, I just covered how there's not enough houses being built because the 6 people that work with the government simply don't have the manpower, they don't have the money, they don't have any of the things that they need to start it. So the whole bottom half of that announcement is null and void. Listen to the wording. You have to be a first-time home buyer. You have to be purchasing a brand new house. So you can't buy your mom's place when she moves off to Florida. That doesn't qualify you. You can't buy the new place that your buddy built in the backyard because that doesn't qualify you. Like, the conversion is what I should say, the renovation to switch it into, I turned my upstairs into a condo or whatever. That doesn't qualify you. Now, this only qualifies for people who are trying to buy brand new condominiums off the people that are in the pocket of the Liberal Party, that are taking all of the hand washing that they do with all of the different processes that they follow under the socialist ideology that they believe in. So you want me to believe that this is only going to help millennials and Gen Z, but we've brought in 4 million new people. How come they're not in your press release? Do you not believe that they'll ever be able to afford a home either? So you think that only those people will be willing to rent. And you feel that Gen Z millennial will only want to buy condominiums, that they will never want to drive a car, that they will never want to have a parking lot. I can't understand why we even put car ads on TV anymore. If by the liberal government's logic, nobody wants to have one, nobody needs a parking space, nobody needs any of that stuff. In addition to that, 5 years is 60 more payments. How can you tell yourself that paying 60 more payments is somehow going to be cheaper? The fact that it might be $50 less or $100 less or, whatever a month will be made up on the other end. 30 years. Meaning that if you buy the home at age 30 and never borrow against it again, you won't be able to ever do Freedom 55. You'll have to retire at age 60. If you never change the conditions of that mortgage. This is not going to change anything. It's just going to put Gen Z in further debt. Some of these condominiums run for $1 million. Do you realize that if you make $60,000 a year, you still need 20 years of work will make you $1.2 million. That's without paying taxes. That's without buying groceries. So you're talking about a significant amount of money, despite the fact that it might not be a high-end one. It might be a $5 million one that you're thinking of in your mind in the magazine. That's just all the much more money. We need to make them affordable. We need to make them abundant. And the Liberal Party is not doing that. They're saying they're trying to do it, but they're not even getting close to it. Housing starts are down. The cost of everything has gone up through the roof. And there's absolutely no way in the world that they're going to be able to accomplish this. And they want you to believe that they're doing you a favor by telling you that you got 5 extra years to pay it off at interest with more payments. I mean, one of the best ways that you make to get settled down is when you don't have to pay monthly payments, right? So when I was a kid, people were targeting 15 years to get their house paid off. Now you want to be 30? Come on, man. Let's make life better for Canadians. That's what you were elected to do, to improve the standard of living. You tell me, you look around, you look at your life, you look at the lives of your friends and neighbors. Do you think that the Liberal Party has made an improvement in our standard of living? You can let me know down in the comments what your opinion on the matter is. Okay, so as always, I've saved the best for last. And it would be funny if it wasn't so concerning. The Marxist Party, the Communist Revolutionaries of the United States of America, that's literally what they're called, the Revolutionary Communists of America, they call themselves, have decided that they're marching in Philadelphia, where we know of Paul Revere and, the English are coming, the Redcoats are coming. Well, there's a lot of red right now. They are marching up whatever street it is in Philadelphia they're demanding there be a class war. And then in the very next sentence, or the sentence after that, they're demanding that there never be any more war. You can't make this up. I'm not, like, you got to hear it for yourself. So Class War 2024, fight the rich and feed the poor, all wars have got to go. The logic stream, it seems to have abandoned them. Maybe they should have put it in ChatGPT first, and at least the computer would have made some sense of it. Of course, it's ironic in my mind that the most advanced society on earth, or at least fiscally advanced, all of them walking down the street in $150 pair of shoes, holding onto $2,000 telephones or whatever they cost down in the States, talking about class war, talking about how they're going to remove the 1%. That's a remarkable process. While they demand this class war and they do so from their position of the middle class. They're not, there's nobody down there walking in their bare feet, haven't seen the inside of a house in 2 years, or know what, have missed a hot meal. I mean, they don't understand what class wars are looking like. I'm sure there is somebody with deep pockets in Philadelphia that bought everybody a flag and got everybody to chant together, and they probably got a really advanced Facebook group. But they clearly do not understand the words that are coming out of their mouth, and they clearly do not understand what communism is really about. Once Lenin stopped being around, he lived his whole life in this tiny little one-bedroom apartment, and he would hold session there. So there's some argument that he was perhaps following the doctrine of communism. But after that, it all goes to pot. And when they ran out of other people's money in Soviet communism, for example, they decided that they would just sell all of their food on the international market, in the process damning a big portion of their population to go hungry to the point of expiration. They starved them right into the ground, literally. Don't even get me started on the way the communists worked in China. Communism is it's not a good ideology, and it's only a minute. Like, there's very little difference between communism and Nazism and even fascism. They're all rooted in Marxism. So when you understand the issue from that perspective, you can see how this is a horrible and horrid idea. But the irony of this government, this Marxist group, who would not be permitted to parade with any flag in any of the communist countries that you know of, walking down the democratic city of Philadelphia, demanding that the democratic process be abandoned and that they start to just have a gigantic war. You can't even make up how out of tune that is. When you look at that, you think, what? Now you understand at least where the liberals get their ridiculousness from. It seems to be that Jordan Peterson might be onto something, that the people on the far left might not be, they might have some issues. I mean, I don't know. You can tell me what you think. I don't agree with communism in any way, shape, or form because I read a book and I know better, but you can let me know what your opinion is. I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you for listening. I will talk to you next time.